Hello, I'm Dr. Alegria Ribadeneira. I am co-principal investigator of our OER grant here at Colorado State University in Pueblo, Colorado, and we are celebrating Open Education Week. So today I have Shauna Hannenberg with me, who is going to tell us a little bit about her journey with OER. Shauna, welcome. It is so great to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share a little bit about what you have done for us with OER.
Well, it is a joy to support you. And can you please tell us first a little bit about yourself?
You bet. My name is Shawna Hanenberg, and I am a senior lecturer in the Health Science and Human Movement School. And I've been at CSU Pueblo since 2011 in various roles. And currently I serve as the coordinator of human movement, and I oversee our personal health classes, which are general education science classes. And when I was approached with building an OER, I absolutely love to teach people about health and wellness and ways that they can better their lives. And OER does exactly that. It helps people improve their lives by not having to spend money on textbooks.
Yes, and that is such a wonderful thing. And I love that you mentioned that this OER is for a general education course, because obviously it will touch so many students. It will make a difference for so many students. Now, you already mentioned a little bit about how you came into OER, but I know that it's always sort of a journey where people begin with first, what is this? So I was wondering if you could expand a little bit more on what brought you to the current project that you're doing and to OER in general.
You bet. It's going on 2 years now, I think, that maybe we were first approached with this idea of building an OER, and it's a daunting task in the beginning. And when you've never done it before, you need a lot of direction. And there was sort of an intersection of the OER coming into our space, and the book that we were currently using was being discontinued. And we really liked the way this book was laid out. We didn't want to make drastic changes to the layout of our course, because if it's not broken, why fix it? But we needed to find a different delivery method for our information. And what better way to do that than through the use of an OER? So the beautiful part of taking on this project is I have an incredible coworker who we get to get creative with this together. And I think that this project wouldn't be nearly as fun and easy doing it on our own. And the fact that we were able to find information that was already built out there in an OER setting is making this task a lot easier for us to adapt and borrow and use and add our own content into our very own OER. But I also really like that we're going to be able to make changes to it as we need to, as it develops into something even greater.
Oh, absolutely. And you just touched on something that to me is so beautiful about working in the open education world. And that is that sense of community. You were mentioning that the person that you're doing this with is somebody that you can really enjoy and share a project with. And that is something that a lot of people don't get to do in academia. Sometimes we are so siloed. And so
I'm getting to share in the enthusiasm of building an OER with you, Alegria, is a really major part of what's making this project so enjoyable. Our confidence is building every time we have a meeting with you, and it really enhances the process. So thank you for what you're doing with OER.
Well, to me, it's an absolute joy to support you, because, not everybody is up to the task. And so when you find people who really want to contribute in this way, it is just such a joy to do that support. So you already mentioned a little bit about what it is that you're doing. Could you describe your project a little bit more, what it is exactly that you are doing in order to achieve this goal of having resources for your general education class?
Yeah, we are adapting a textbook, but we are also creating a lab manual. Because our class is a general education science class, it's a 3-credit course and a 1-credit lab. And a big part of that is learning the scientific method and having scientific lab reports. And so having lab activities that we're building in a lab manual that can then transform themselves into the lab reports for this gen ed course is kind of a unique idea that we're bringing to our OER, because in what we found out there, we haven't seen anything of its kind that encompasses both the textbook and an accompanying lab manual. And I think in a course such as ours with health and wellness and trends and statistics and things changing so readily and frequently, having the ability to adapt and modify this as we go along is going to be a really big part of keeping our content relevant and relatable to the students that we have at CSU Pueblo.
Yes. Oh, I love that you mentioned that aspect of it, which is your ability to update your materials in the way that you plan to do. So I know that you are taking a textbook that was already out there. Can you tell us a little bit about the process of finding that one source that you can build upon? Because, you know, that is something that seems a little bit daunting for people.
Yeah, and I would say that that process took us the longest so far. You know, prior to coming up, you know, the ideas were everywhere. We had such big ideas, and through the process, we started completely changing everything that we were doing. And from the get-go, we did not want to make major changes, but the ideas just kept flowing. And so as we searched, we found some that took us off path to a different direction, and not necessarily a wrong direction, but just something that was completely different. And so we just kept modifying our search. We kept looking in different directions. We took it to a more medical direction, and we ended up landing on a very simply put together health and wellness book. And it had pretty much the same topic areas that we wanted to be sure and cover. We just wanted to manipulate the book to cover these in a different order. For example, we felt like covering stress management is such a vitally important area for our college students, especially in this post-COVID, hopefully post-COVID era. And so we moved that from the end of her course to the second thing that we teach in our course. And we've always taught it that way, because then we build upon those stress management techniques that the students learn early on. We build those throughout the whole rest of the course, so they come away with some really concrete and solid ways to manage their stress. So that was just one example of what we took from the one that we eventually landed on. And we landed on the one that was out there because it closely mimicked what we wanted to do. So we are making some, I wouldn't say significant changes to it, but some really powerful changes to it that are going to enhance what we're trying to accomplish.
Oh, I love that you're sharing this aspect of this one piece, that a lot of people are often afraid of, because there are so many OR repositories and so many ways that you can search. But oh, happy, joyous moment when you actually find that one gem that you can build upon is definitely fantastic. And of course, knowing that it has that CC license that allows you to remix and adapt is such a fantastic opportunity. So as you said, you can adapt it to our student population. And
well, and the day that you told us, oh my gosh, this is the license you want to find, you guys have landed on a gold mine, because it was free and it was open and there were no restrictions and all the licensing was clear from what you shared with us. And so that's making it even more fun to be able to adapt and modify it without worrying that we're missing out on some of those important licensing factors.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think that that is definitely a plus, and that's why we want to make sure that people who are producing materials and feel like sharing put those licenses in there, so nobody feels like they're stealing, because they're not. And that is so wonderful, right? So you already have expressed a few of your joys of doing this. You were talking about the community aspect of it, the joy of finding the right OER. Any other joys or satisfactions that you have found particularly interesting up to now?
Well, the thing that I am most excited about is when students who sign up for our class, and we have anywhere from 200 to 300 students per semester that take this course and the accompanying lab. And I can't wait for them to look into their course and for them to say, oh, no textbook cost, and that they're going to have a completely no cost resource that they're going to be able to navigate and use throughout the class, and be able to take things from it freely that are going to benefit them in their life. Because this class is a class that I believe every student in their life, in their college career, every faculty and staff member should take this class, because it teaches you such valuable tools. And being able to have these downloadable resources for the students, especially from our lab manual, where they can go through different personal health surveys related to chronic disease risk. And they can hold on to those and share them with friends and family. There's just such a joy that comes from knowing that this is going to expand minds and attitudes about health and wellness out to friends and family of the students that take the course. And so that's the joy I'm most looking forward to. The joys that I've experienced so far, I did share the community aspect, but I have a standing meeting every week with my coworker Tina, and you often join us in that meeting to help us. And that is the meeting that I most look forward to every single week, because there's something good that's coming out of it for sure.
Yes. Oh, I agree. I agree. And I love what you were saying about how they can use the resource beyond the course and share it with their families, right? Because so many of our students actually sell back their books at the end of the semester, hoping to get a little money back. So they cannot keep those resources that could be so life-changing for other people in their lives as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And,
I agree.
you know, that's one of the things when I get to talk to students after they've taken this course. That's one of the most common things that students say, that this class made a difference for them, but it also made a difference for their family members. And so knowing that those resources are going to be available to them is, you know, an exclamation point on that.
Absolutely. Oh, I love all these joys that we get from this work, for sure. Now, of course, not everything is roses, and people should know that, right? So can you share perhaps some of the challenges that you've had so far and how you've overcome?
Yeah, so we're building our OER in Google Docs, and I was not the person who was most experienced working in Google Docs, and I've been gaining experience as we go. And so, putting material into the Google Docs has proved to be a little bit challenging, learning how to format things. Finding the time to sit down and actually do the building has been a challenge, which is why we set a weekly meeting so that we use that as work time to get parts of it done. And in the beginning, not knowing what to be doing, that was the hardest part. And so coming up with an outline helped that confusion an awful lot. And just breaking down the project into milestones, that Alegria taught us, and being able to bite off chunks as we went. But one of the biggest challenges is having a deadline. We already have made the commitment that we are launching this OER in fall of 22. And so once you put that out there and you let the bookstore know that they don't need to order any of those old books, and you put that into the fall course catalog, you are committed. And we are definitely committed to making sure that this becomes a reality, and there's no turning back now. And so that's a little scary, but we feel confident that we're going to be able to get it done.
Yes, yes, and you will. I think sometimes those deadlines are scary, but they also help us
They're very
focus.
necessary.
Yes, yeah, they're very necessary.
Sure.
And something that I was talking with somebody else on the interviews is how the first version doesn't have to be perfect, right? And to let your project breathe and improve with each iteration, maybe takes a little bit of that stress out, hopefully.
Well, and when we first thought about doing this, I don't even know that we knew that CSU Pueblo had grant money available to compensate us for this project. And I don't think that I'm unique in the idea that putting the amount of time that's required to build an OER in with no compensation wasn't very attractive. And knowing that we were being compensated for our time and our efforts through this wonderful grant has eased the burden of this project immensely.
Oh, I love to hear that, and I agree with you. We already ask so much from our faculty members. So when somebody wants to go the extra mile, it is such a joy to be able to support them, not only morally and with resources, but with actual money as well.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely a win-win for everybody that way. Wow. I just love to hear about this journey that you are currently in right now. Any advice that you could give to those who are just beginning to think about taking this step?
Yes, trust the process for sure, because there is something out there for every discipline, I believe. And if not, there's plenty of resources available to help you get really creative and create your own. But do it with support of other people. Definitely have at least a partner or a team of people, and have that person that can guide you through the process. Whether it's the wonderful Alegria or whoever else ends up taking over this for CSU Pueblo, this process is better when you have more people doing it. And I would also give the advice of setting a goal for completion and sticking to that. Like I mentioned, we put it out there that this is happening fall of 22. And when you've got the goal and then you can back that up into your milestones for accomplishing the goal, it becomes a lot easier to bite off one chunk at a time, complete that, and then move on to the next piece of the puzzle. So those would be my biggest pieces of advice. But definitely don't ignore the tug. If you're getting that tug that you feel like you want to do something like this, don't ignore it. There's plenty of support out there for you to be able to accomplish the goal. And remind yourself of the benefit that it's going to bring to your students and to others that can share your OER with other people. You know, I'm anxious to reach out to the author of the OER that we borrowed, and to be able to share ideas with her that we've transformed her OER into, because we're making enhancements to the one that we are adapting that may benefit other programs that are utilizing her OER. So I'm anxious when it's all said and done to be able to thank her, number one, but be able to share ideas. So don't discount the amount of, I don't know, connection that this can lead to when you are doing a project like this. And I can't wait to feel the accomplishment that we're going to feel when we get this done.
Well, I tell you, we will all celebrate tremendously when that happens. I have a couple deadlines as well for fall 2022. So we'll all be celebrating when we hit those milestones. Shauna, thank you so much for your time and for sharing with all of us all these ideas and advice. I think it's really going to make a difference to those who are, especially to those who are just starting out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for all your help too.
Oh, it is a joy. And have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Bye.